All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our latest set of BCBA exam practice questions, where we're going through this set of questions together and breaking each one down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack and practice exams. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. A behavior analyst is training a new behavior analyst on how their company conducts initial intake assessments. The behavior analyst informs the new behavior analyst that they always request to see the home first so that they can take notes and get a feel for what the home is like to prepare for service. What is the behavior analyst likely doing? All right, we're looking at the behavior analyst, and it's worded a little strangely, right? Because we have the behavior analyst and the new behavior analyst. So we've got to read carefully. We've got to do all our work up front in the question and understand what the question is giving us. So the behavior analyst is training the new BA on initial intake assessments. The behavior analyst says they see the home first so they can take notes and get a feel for what the home is like. Now, what exactly is the behavior analyst doing there? Well, she's going into the house, looking around, looking at what the environment's like, most importantly, who lives there, what's the setup, is it clean, is there room to work? She's looking at all the environmental variables that have nothing actually to do with the parents or the client. And at the same time, they do, right? Because when we're analyzing the environment, that's a certain kind of assessment that we want to do initially just to prepare ourselves for service. Part of our ethical code says is we have to remove any barriers to service. And barriers often take place in the environment. So what is the behavior analyst likely doing? A direct assessment of the client. Well, the client's not involved here, right? They're looking at the home. They're just looking at the home first. B, an indirect assessment with the stakeholder. Well, the stakeholder's not involved either. Strictly looking at the home. What is the client's room like? What is the kitchen like? What is the living room like? What is going on in this house? What the analyst is likely doing is an ecological assessment. An ecological assessment is an assessment of the environment where either service takes place or where the client plays or goes to school. So analyzing the home is a part of an ecological assessment. And then D, a functional analysis. Well, a functional analysis, of course, is looking for the function of a behavior. We're manipulating variables, antecedents, consequences, not what's going on here. We're analyzing the home to see what is home life like. So the behavior analyst is likely doing a C, an ecological assessment. You're walking around Best Buy, not quite sure what you're looking for exactly. A staff member walks over and asks if you need help finding anything. You tell the staff member that you are just browsing, but will let them know. Your response represents what type of operand? Okay, we're looking for the type of operand, so be careful. First operand should be obvious. It's clearly a verbal operand, right? Because you're walking around Best Buy, staff member walks over and asks, do you need help finding anything? And you say, I'm just browsing, but I'll let you know. So it's verbal behavior. It's going to be a verbal operand. So we have A, verbal operand. But what type of verbal operand, right? We don't just pick A and move on. We don't pick the answer and move on. We read all of our answer choices. Because not only is it a verbal operand, it's a specific type of verbal operand. And so what have you done? What does your response represent? Well, you've responded to the staff member. So your behavior was evoked by a verbal SD. It doesn't have point-to-point correspondence, but it has formal similarity. So what does that sound like? Well, to me, it sounds like an interverbal, right? Interverbals are evoked by verbal SDs, and they don't have point-to-point correspondence. To me, this looks like an interverbal. What about a mand? Well, the staff member's behavior is a mand because they walk over and say, do you need help finding anything? So they see you, right? This nonverbal stimulus, and you act as an MO for them to go request information. Do you need help? When they ask that question, you respond back with an interverbal, no, I'm just browsing, but I'll let you know. So your response represents both a verbal operant and an interverbal. Remember, for the test, you want to know what evokes the verbal behavior, what reinforces it, does it have point-to-point correspondence, does it have formal similarity? Which of the following is the best or closest example of automatic punishment? Now notice how the question is worded, the best or closest. And it's worded that way because when we're dealing with consequences, what do we want to know? We want to know, what does future behavior look like? Because with consequences, we're concerned with how consequences affect future behavior. And when they're asking about consequences, they might not always indicate the future behavior. And so in that case, you've got to kind of give your best assessment of the information they give. So we're looking for the best or closest example of automatic punishment. Let's start with automatic. Automatic simply means not socially mediated, right? There's no other person involved delivering this consequence. Punishment, obviously, is a consequence that's going to reduce your behavior. So we're looking for a consequence that is not socially mediated that's likely to reduce your behavior. So A, you call your favorite sushi place to order their tempura salmon roll, but they tell you they no longer serve it, so you switch to a different place moving forward. Well, is this automatic? It's not. It's socially mediated, right? Because the person, when you called and ordered the roll, they said, we no longer serve it. What did that do? It punished your behaviors because you're not going to order there anymore, but it isn't automatic. So A is not our answer. B, you buy a new pair of headphones, but when you put them on, you hear a vibration in your right ear, so you return them. Now be careful, right? So buying a new pair of headphones is obviously social, but what we're looking at here is you put on the headphones. As a consequence, you hear this vibration in your right ear. So what do? You take them off and you never wear them again. And the vibration in your right ear was not socially mediated. It was automatic. It also punished you because you're never going to wear these headphones again. So B looks pretty good. What about C? You usually leave your house at 8 a.m. to get to school. However, your Google Maps app tells you traffic is heavy, so you leave 30 minutes earlier. All right, so what is happening here? Well, you open your app and the traffic is heavy. So what do? You leave 30 minutes earlier. The traffic being heavy is a signal to you that reinforcement's available if you leave 30 minutes earlier. So Google Map telling you that traffic is heavy is an SD for you to leave 30 minutes earlier because reinforcement is available if you leave 30 minutes earlier. It's not punishing your behavior in any way. D, your daughter has started to spit her food out on purpose. When she does, you take away her juice box. Now, this is pretty clear socially mediated punishment or an attempt at socially mediated punishment. So the best or closest example is going to be B. You buy this new pair of headphones. You put them on. As a consequence, you hear a vibration in your right ear. What do? You're punished. You never wear them again. You take them off. You return them. Not socially mediated, automatic. Your behavior decreases, punished. The answer here is B. Devin struggles starting and finishing game with peers. Your BCBA asked you to record data on peer play. It took Devin 6 minutes to start walking to the table when his peers asked him to play a game with them. Devin sat for 10 minutes, took 2 minutes in between turns, and then asked if he could be all done with the game 3 times. Which of the following answer choices represents the latency of Devin walking to the table? All right, a lot of numbers, a lot of data, a lot of things going on. Slow down and think about this, not a hard question. We're looking for latency, time in between the SD, start of the response. What we're looking at in the response is Devin walking to the table. So let's see. BCBA asked you to record data on peer play. It took Devin 6 minutes to start walking to the table when his peers asked him to play a game with them. All right, that's what we're looking at. So the SD, his peers asking him to play a game with them. Response is walking to the table. It took him 6 minutes to start walking there. Devin sitting for 10 minutes seems to me like duration. Took 2 minutes in between turns, to me seems like inter-response time. Asking if he could be done with the game 3 times seems to me like frequency. So which of the following answer choices represents latency? Well, likely 6 minutes. So A, again, 10 minutes looks like duration of sitting. B, 6 minutes looks like our answer. SD, asked to play a game with them. 6 minutes passes, start walking to table. C, 2 minutes looks like the inter-response time between turns. 3 times looks like frequency of saying all done. So pretty straightforward latency question. Which of the following answer choice represents latency? B, 6 minutes. Bonnie will always grab a cookie right before dinner. This leads to her refusing to eat her dinner and engaging in escape-maintain behavior to get away from the table. Your BCBA creates an intervention that involves Bonnie's parents giving Bonnie 2 cookies after dinner if Bonnie does not eat a cookie before dinner. What type of intervention is this? All right, we're looking at an intervention, the intervention question. So what is the intervention here? The intervention involves Bonnie's parents giving Bonnie 2 cookies after dinner if, so the contingency, she does not eat a cookie before dinner. Because what usually happens is she eats a cookie before dinner, doesn't eat dinner, gets away from the table. BCBA says, I'm now telling you to give her 2 cookies after dinner only if she doesn't eat any cookies before dinner. So you've got to think to yourself, when does she earn reinforcement in this scenario? Well, in this scenario, she earns reinforcement if she does not eat cookies. So in the absence of eating cookies, she's earning reinforcement. So what type of intervention do we call that? A, differential reinforcement of other behaviors. Absolutely. Differential reinforcement of other behaviors, or DRO, we're reinforcing in the absence of behavior occurring. And in this case, it's exactly what we're doing. We're reinforcing in the absence of Bonnie eating the 2 cookies. We're not actually teaching a replacement. Not eating, remember the dead man's test, not eating isn't a behavior, right? We don't know what Bonnie's doing instead. All we care about is she isn't eating the cookie. So we're reinforcing other behaviors. Differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors would teach a replacement. We need an alternative to not eating a cookie. We're not teaching alternative behaviors. Same with C, differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors. We're not teaching something incompatible. We're not teaching a replacement. All we're worried about is Bonnie not eating the cookie. So reinforcement of other behaviors. D, negative reinforcement. Well, Bonnie's getting the 2 cookies, so it's going to be positive reinforcement. So the type of intervention is A, differential reinforcement of other behaviors. In differential reinforcement questions, you should always begin with asking, are we teaching a replacement? If we are, we're probably doing it a DRA or DRI. If we're not, we got to look at DROs, DRDs, DRLs, DRHs. So what type of intervention is this? A, differential reinforcement of other behaviors. The functional behavior assessment you just conducted calls for a functional analysis to determine the function of blinking rapidly for an extended period of time. If you wanted to test for escape, how might you do that in your FA or functional analysis? All right, so we want to test for escape in our functional analysis, meaning we have an escape condition, right? We have our different conditions in our FA. In a functional analysis, what are we doing? We're manipulating antecedents and consequences, right? That's the whole point. Manipulate antecedents and consequences, figure out what the function is our best way to find function, right? And so in this case, we need to find the function of blinking rapidly for an extended period of time. And we're going to test for escape. How might we do that? A, sit next to the client. When they start blinking rapidly, ask them if everything is all right. Are they escaping anything here? Well, no, they're getting attention. You might do this for the attention condition, but they're not escaping anything. B, sit next to the client. When they start blinking rapidly, ask them if they would like to leave the table. All right, that's a form of escape. Now, these are very simplistic versions of FAs, but it's still an escape condition. When they engage in the behavior, you allow escape. That is escape. C, sit next to the client. When they start blinking rapidly, give them ice cream. Well, to me, that seems like a tangible condition. And then D, sit outside the room and watch the client through a window. Take note of how often they blink rapidly. To me, that's an automatic condition, a lone condition, or a control condition, right? Because you're not actually in there. Escape would be likely B. Sit next to the client. When they start blinking rapidly, ask them if they would like to leave the table. Remember, with an FA, we're actually trying to reinforce almost the behavior with the function we believe to be the maintaining function. Okay, so it's counterintuitive in a way, but it's the best way to determine the real function. What answer most accurately describes the type of analysis we conduct when we are analyzing our graphs? So when we're analyzing our graphs, what do we call that? Okay, and it's a very easy question, very straightforward question. And this is the type of analysis you'll be doing with parents and stakeholders and clients. And it's very straightforward. So we're reading a graph, what type of analysis? A, statistical analysis. So it's not technically statistical analysis, right? Because we're not running any stats on this, okay? We're looking at our lines, right? Essentially, our different conditions in our lines and our line graph and the different data points and the data paths, right? We're not actually running any statistical models. B, qualitative analysis. Well, qualitative analysis is not related to our graphs at all. Okay, qualitative analysis is a totally different type of analysis, which we don't need to get into. You don't necessarily need to know that for your exam. See, a functional analysis. Well, we just talked about a functional analysis, and a functional analysis tries to determine the function of a behavior. And that's not what we're trying to do here, right? We're just analyzing our graph. So when we analyze our graph, we are conducting visual analysis. It's that straightforward, right? Don't overcomplicate that. When we analyze graphs, we are conducting visual analysis. Excellent. Thank you for watching. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com. Sorry for my voice. I'm a little under the weather today, but be sure you like and subscribe for all of our updates. New videos every week. As always, let us know when you pass so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.